Okay, so welcome. This is CxXchange Success Hour. So excited to share this with you today. It's how to win big with an AI hackathon. And what does win big really mean? It's really about innovation, how you can inspire innovation using AI hackathons. And I can't think of two better people to bring here to you today, but David Karp and Ralphie White. They both have been doing lots of AI hackathons, and the amazing results that they're getting within their teams is really something that I wanted to be able to bring to you in an actionable way so that no matter where you are, whether you like, what is a hackathon, to, okay, sure, but what's an AI hackathon? How do we do it? Or, how do I even get started with any AI stuff and really get my team going on it? Like anything, like you will get all of your answers or questions answered today. So I'm super excited about that. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and be sure to introduce Ralphie and David. Um, Ralphie, we'll start with you. Just tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I know you. I think you're amazing, but what do people know? What
Hello.
should people know about you?
I'm Ralphette. Everyone calls me Ralphie. I am VP of Customer Success at Deepgram. Deepgram is a leading voice AI platform. We help companies turn voice into real business outcomes. So we do speech to text, text to speech, and we have voice AI models. So that's me. I have been really, really focused lately around really just disrupting how we think about customer success in AI. And I'm hoping to answer all of your questions today.
And it's because of Ralphie that I started talking to ChatGPT, and now like we're just on a regular dialogue basis. So certainly on a first name basis. All right, David, I am so glad that I met you, and we've been digging in and become fast friends in the last 6 months. Why don't you tell folks a little bit about what you're doing, who you are, and all of that?
Yeah, you bet. And Jan, thanks. It's been a real honor to just get to know you a little bit better, as you said, over the last 6 months. And Ralphie, we're up next for lunch or dinner. So my name is David. I go by David. Most people just call me Karp. So feel free. It's a lot easier. I've been at Disco for 4 years. 4 years now. I'm our chief customer officer. We focus on helping some of the world's largest brands and media agencies measure the impact of their brand advertising. If you think about where a lot of large brands spend a lot of money, it's on advertising, brand building, kind of what their brand is and trying to connect it with people like all of us. The hard part is it's really hard to know whether or not that's being effective or not for the business, and we help them do that. We do that with a lot of data, a lot of tech. What we're really trying to do is understand that AI is going to help us innovate faster for those customers, help us disrupt ourselves and get better for ourselves. And so, what I love about what we've been trying to do is think about it very top down and how do we create from a executive level, how do we really ensure that AI is part of our strategy, but also put it in the hands of everybody at the company. Because what's really cool about AI is everybody gets to innovate when you get it in everybody's hands. It's just how do we do it top down, bottom up, and all come together. That's really been my focus over the last year or so.
Awesome. All right, let's get started. I just want to share the screen there. And okay, now I think I'm ready here. So if you have something in the chat, I will keep my eye on that. And I will put the links in there again. Okay, so digging in then. Um, actually, before we dig in, because I know I'm really going to be handing over the slides to you guys. The reason why I wanted to bring these two folks together is because we sorry, I'm letting more people in, because one of the things that we definitely need to do is if you're not, it's one thing to just work in ChatGPT and do your own personal thing, but how you bring it into your organization, how you inspire collective experimentation in a way that's productive and gets you to move forward in your organization. is really important. And as leaders, we need to really think about that. But everyone can lead. So even if you don't have a CS leader title or responsibilities in your organization, the way you step up in your organization to inspire innovation and lead, this is really for everyone. So I want everyone to feel like, yes, this is something that I can go and do. And frankly, if you're like, well, I'm in between roles, then organize an AI hackathon anyway. Do you know what I mean? And if you want to do this part of CxXchange, that's how things get started, frankly. So if anybody has an idea and is inspired today, like, you can be now the AI hackathon czar at CxXchange. It's really that easy. All right, so let's dig into the slides here. And who has this slide? Do you want me to put it all up?
I think I'm up first. You can go ahead and just build right through it there. Look,
Okay.
what I'd say is this, Jan, if it's okay, do you want me to pick up from here? We good?
Yeah,
To,
yeah,
good
go
to-
for it.
yeah. So look, I think you can put AI next to any word and it becomes a pretty funny buzzword. All of a sudden it's AI whatever. But
Like
I
in the
think the
dot
con right, it's right to say it's AI something and all of a sudden you're cool. And I think what's really nice about an AI hackathon is it's not really that way. Because if you look at what a hackathon is in general, it's really just some organized event and it's really focused on a couple things. How do you innovate faster? How do you solve real problems? And how do you really experiment across teams? But usually what happens with a hackathon, I don't know how many people here have been through them before. It's very kind of engineer oriented. It's very tech driven. So there's designers, there's product managers, there's SMEs. It's usually led by someone somewhere in the R&D organization. And the key thing that makes a hackathon, it's limited in time, limited in scope. You try to create something that works. I've done this over a weekend before. You do it overnight. You bring in a lot of pizza, and you build a lot of energy and excitement to drive some innovation. But what's really interesting when you make it an AI hackathon is you start to change a couple things about a traditional hackathon. Number one is you're by definition saying anybody can participate because anybody can use AI, and also means anybody can lead it. It doesn't have to be led by a tech organization. Anybody who has a vision for it can drive it. But you're saying it's got to be rooted in AI. So what happens is you're still doing innovation, you're still doing problem solving, you're still experimenting. But now instead of solving tech problems, and I want to be clear, tech problems are really there to solve business problems, but you're more directly focused on what are the business opportunities AI can help us go solve versus what are the technical product things that we're trying to make happen, although you can tackle those too. So when you add AI in, you're now instantaneously collapsing between that gap between a business problem and letting anybody who's participating in the hackathon be part of experimenting, innovating, creating new solutions. It's for all of us. That's one of the things that's really cool about AI hackathon.
Cool. All right.
So what do you need to get started? Anyone can participate. One of the things I love about AI hackathons is that it levels the playing field. And as David said, typically you would need an engineer, you would need someone from product. With AI hackathons, you could really just do individual hackathons, you can do team hackathons, but the tech that is available today allows really anyone to kind of dabble in coding and really understanding how to use tools that you may not have ever used before. So what's the prep look like? For tools, you really want to allow teams to kind of figure out what's allowed by giving them kind of a toolbox up front. So everyone just starts on that equal footing. Everyone knows these are the things that you have available to you. These are the things that you should use. So everyone is just aligned there. With your guidelines, if it's your first hackathon, you want the participants to kind of start to see those ideas. And once you build that momentum, you can start shifting to crowdsourcing project ideas. So everyone that's involved kind of feels that ownership. With the rules of engagement, it's simple. You want to set clear expectations. You want to have clear prizes. You want to make sure the judging criteria is very, very straightforward. Of course, always include a few do's and don'ts so everyone is focused on the same goal. And then, again, that just creates that level playing field and keeps the energy really, really high when you're talking about an AI hackathon. On the day of course, you want to decide if you're going to do things in person or virtual. I think there's trade-offs to both. In person, for me, is the most fun because we're a remote first company. So it kind of creates that buzz and energy. It gives you an opportunity to collaborate with people that you don't typically get to collaborate with. And it allows you to do those quick pitches in front of folks and give you kind of that practice doing that as well. And then if you do virtual, it also allows you to kind of broaden who's able to participate. So if you have an office, but you also have people that are remote, it allows you to kind of stretch beyond just the folks that are in office. And then lastly, AI versus general hackathon. Framing it around AI makes it more approachable. Again, it's a level playing field. We all have access to the same tools. It does remove the dependency on engineering, like David mentioned, while also from the flip side, drawing engineers closer to business problems, which is something I'll kind of talk about a bit later. So again, it keeps it inclusive and it aligns with where, work is heading. So that innovation and those different things that you want to focus on.
Can I just double click on that for a second though? So like when you talk about tools and you talk about like, oh, so you don't need to be a coder, but somehow you're going to code. I know we've heard of that term, perhaps vibe coding. What the hell, excuse me, what the heck is that? Can we just double click on that a little bit? So to help people understand why it actually is more accessible. I know we're going to get into that a little bit before, but just, because we have some actual examples, but what can we just real quick, what is vibe coding? Anybody want to say what vibe coding is? Anybody? Basically, it's prompting, right? You're just gonna prompt your way. The code happens in the background. You see what it's producing. That's vibe coding. Ooh, I'm cool. I'm vibe coding. I'm just prompting, right? I'm just using a tool, prompting, and then stuff shows up on my screen. That's pretty much vibe coding, right? So that's why it's more accessible. And that's why you don't necessarily need someone who's a coder on your team. Is that all right? Somebody? Yeah? Thumbs up,
Absolutely.
Dave.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up. I love it. I love it. Like my old computer science professors from back in the day would be shaking their heads when I think about how they taught us how to code and what we consider coding now. But it's cool because everybody gets to do it for sure.
Exactly. All right. Yeah. See, Ian's like, I thought it was a LinkedIn buzzword. Sounds like one. All
Yep.
right, David, let's back with you. Let's hear how does this actually, we talked about it theoretically. How does this actually look? What did you do?
Yeah. So one example, we had done hackathons at DISQO before, but they were traditional hackathons, and so we had this idea of let's do an AI hackathon. And we did some of our normal full company things. We branded it the Hackinator. We created digital twins for me and our chief technology officer that were kind of like Terminator versions. We had a lot of fun with it because we wanted it to be fun for sure.
You have all the slides and everything. We have a link to that in the resources of these
Yeah.
slides.
If they're not in here, I'll make sure I have them, Jen. They should be, but if not, I'll make sure they're connected in. They were kind of crazy and fun and cool. But we had a lot of fun. And not that you need to do that, but we wanted to make it fun. But our real vision was how do we get everybody able to participate? And so we did a couple things. Number one is we gave people a set of tools they could use. And you could see here, there were some traditional things, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Cursor. We told people you can include others, but because part of what we wanted to do was solve real business problems, we were trying to create tools. We had already built some protections around so that people could share data and really get after it and be comfortable of what to do. And so again, like Ralphie was saying, we had to guide people. What are the set of tools that we want you to be able to use? And if you wanted something else, let us know. And our tech team would help validate that tool for you. We do have, by the way, paid versions. We decided that before this hackathon, we were going to invest in tools for the company that would let us have some data protections. This was a way, our AI hackathon was a way to get everybody actually involved in using them. So we did get some. We did not want people to just have their own free tools and start sharing data. We wanted to be much more responsible. So that's why we got some paid versions and made the investment. And then we created some guidelines for the project. You had to solve a real business need. That was number one. And so what we did is we gave people examples. Each department lead had a couple examples. So we seeded those for people. We shared them in advance so people could think about it, because we didn't want this just to be something to get people comfortable with AI. We wanted it to actually be something we could deploy into practice to benefit our business. The other guideline we gave everybody was by the end of the hackathon, you had to have a working prototype. So you had to make real progress. You had to solve a business problem and have a working prototype. We put a couple other rules of engagement that were really important. Everything you did had to adhere to our code of conduct, our values. We want people to understand you're still part of who we are, should show up in this hackathon. We've had values around innovation. We want people to experiment, do a lot of things like that. And we also said no restriction on team size. We had limited team sizes before because we wanted to try to spread out engineers across teams. But because of the approach we took, we had teams that ranged from 2 people to 9 people. We did a pitch session. So people came and they pitched their ideas. And it gave them a chance to both share a little bit of what they were doing, but also recruit from other people. So it was an open session for the company. So if you want people to help you, you can tell people what we're recruiting for. We did a little curation in advance. So we got 30 ideas submitted. We curated those down to 19 because there were some duplicate ideas, and we kind of put people onto teams. But the pitch sessions were awfully cool because it really got people excited about all the things that were going on. We ran our event virtually, so we didn't have the fun, as Ralphie was saying, of all being together, but it let people just be really broadly participative. We have almost 300 people in the company in multiple countries across lots of time zones. We wanted everybody to get a chance to participate. We did say a couple other things were true, though. So we're going to do this over 48 hours. You have to plan in advance. We cannot be disrupting our clients while we're doing this. That was actually a real hot topic. We didn't want a client, we were doing this to hopefully benefit clients, but we didn't want a client to have to wait longer than they normally would. So we had people plan backups with team members, gave them that in advance. The idea was at the end of these 2 days, we had a presentation event. Come show your prototype, come build some excitement, show people what you've done. And then a week later, we announced who the winners were. And so I've got a couple slides here, Jan, just to show, kind of break it down a little bit. So again, we had over 30 submitted ideas. If you think about that, we have less than 300 people. We had over 30 ideas that people thought could benefit our business by applying AI. Incredible. We broke that down to 19. We applied a little bit of a lens on it. People used ChatGPT. Some people used Gemini. The people that use Gemini, it's more because the data that they were pulling into it. We were a G Suite shop, so they had data that was coming in a Google Sheet or a Google Doc, and they were trying to enhance it. So Gemini was very, very natural for stuff like that. People that were doing more ChatGPT and doing other things with that to try to look at data coming from other sources. We had multiple tools. Again, between Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, Cursor, we use them all. It was up to each team. This is how we judge them. Business impact was most important, but we also wanted people to come up, show up, demonstrate, have some fun. We gave that some weighting too. We down selected to 8 teams and then we ranked them. And we gave real prizes. So if you look at the next slide, these are the prizes. I think what's next, the prizes. We gave a $2,000 prize to the first place. And we gave a people's. It was collective. It was collective, not per person, because we didn't want a team with 9 people. But it was really exciting. It was really meaningful. And the coolest part was the winners got to present at our all hands meeting at the end of the year, show off their idea. We created a people's choice where people got to vote for the one they liked the best. We had a lot of fun, but we had 19 ideas. I think of those 19, 15 created working prototypes. People got real benefit, real notoriety, and it helped our business too. Really cool.
Cool. All right. But now, Ralphie, this is your slide, right? And you had a very different approach. And I wanted to be sure that we kind of heard about a variety of approaches, because it's not like, you must do this exact thing. You can do what makes sense for your situation or for your company. And you do them fairly often. right?
Yes, we do AI hackathons often. And the reason we do is because we're an AI company, and we want it to be a productive AI company, meaning we were creating AI, we're building models, we're doing all those things, but are we actually using AI within the company? And that was a huge push for us to really focus on what that would look like. So one of the first things we did was create a labs team, which is our pretty much internal AI team. And they are the ones that kind of help us kickstart our AI hackathons. But the initial one is the one that I'm going to talk about now, was really developed because we wanted everyone in the company to have no excuse on why you're not using AI. I didn't include this on the slide, but leading up to the hackathon, we actually did office hours with our labs team. So if there are specific tools that you wanted to have access to, wanted to kind of get a really high level view of how to use it, the labs team made themselves available for the weeks coming up to our offsite, so they could show you how to use those tools. So we did the same as David mentioned. We provided tools and licenses to our team. So I listed the tools that we had access to here. I also, in the resources section, kind of gave you an overview of what each one of these tools could do. But our guidelines were slightly different. We had 1 hour to build anything. And this was an individual hackathon. So this wasn't, we couldn't create teams. We had to build alone, but it didn't have to be something for the business. And the reason we did that is because our engineers are always building for the business, always doing these different projects. And we really wanted to give them an opportunity to do something different. They had an option to try to solve a problem for another team, or they could just build a game, they could build a studio, they could build a workflow, whatever they decided. The goal was ultimately for us to get hands on keyboards and learning how to use AI. So, that was the guidelines for the project. Our rules of engagement were also very simple. You had to use an AI developer tool. You could not do any manual coding. So our engineers could not get an advantage on the folks that aren't coders. They had to use AI tools. They could use API keys. So, if you wanted to pull data in, you could, get an API key, use that depending on what type of tool you were building. But again, it was solo projects. You could not collaborate with anyone outside of our labs team. They were walking around the room the entire time, being available to answer questions. But the focus was you trying to solve a problem either for your day-to-day or, again, creating something fun for yourself.
So this is interesting. So you're in person, and so you can get help, but these are solo projects. And
Yes.
usually think of this as people coming together. But this particular example, and you've had where people come together in the past, right?
Yes, we have.
But
We
this
have.
particular time, because what you're trying to do is get people to actually use the tools themselves, then what you did was you said, do a solo project.
Yes. And it forced everyone to carry their own weight, because I'm pretty sure you've had like a class project and there's that one person on the team that did not do the work or hold their weight. So you knew you were going to do a pitch at the end of the day. At the end of that hour, you were going to have to pitch. And there's no way you're going to sit at a table with 10 coworkers and not have anything to say. So literally everyone went heads down and really focused on, what am I going to build? What am I going to do? So what did that look like, in reality? So we were in a room. This is again on site. Everyone was at tables. So we had tables of about 8 to 10 people per table, and we were all given that 1 hour to build. Once we were done, we then had 1 minute per person within the table to do a pitch. So everyone was pitching to their table. And after we did all of our pitches, each table selected the top 3 per table. So the top 3 projects per table. Again, there were no guidelines of around what needed to be built. If you thought it was cool, if you thought it was fun, that's how you decided on which top 3 would make it to the next round for your table. Once we did that, we were, of course, went back to our virtual offices. And at our next all hands meeting, everyone that made the top 3 were given 2 minutes during our all hands meeting to pitch to the company. So you're given an opportunity to pitch your project to the company. And then after we did the pitches there, we then did a survey. So everyone was able to judge based on, what excited them. We didn't have really strict judging criteria. It was like, if you liked it, great. If you like the person's energy, great. If you like the tool, great. So we all just kind of, went through, we judged the project. And of course, similar to like David was mentioning, we also had prizes. But what I really liked about this one that was different from our previous hackathons is that you watched people who typically would not be using AI. Like our CFO, he built a really, really cool game, like kind of like a Flappy Birds game thing that he actually, you could use it with your voice. So there were a bunch of different people that you just would think, oh, they're not going to build anything cool, that actually came out building really, really cool projects. So that was really impactful for our company. And what I saw personally from my team is it created kind of this urgency to solve more problems. So people came back to their offices and said, "Hey, well, I have this day-to-day issue. This is repetitive. Maybe there's a way for me to recreate this type of automation, or be able to be more efficient in this particular process." And I had 3 people from my team create tools that our entire team now uses at different parts of the customer journey. So if you don't have the bandwidth to do a full-on hackathon, this is a model that you can do within your team. You can do, within a specific group, or within your entire company. It just simplifies the way that you can kind of really get everyone involved in an AI hackathon.
Cool. Cool. All right. So next steps. What do you do after this?
Yeah, and by the way, Ralphie, I just love that because again, it's such a great way of inspiring everybody to participate. It's one of the things I think that is so cool about AI because everybody can. What we did at Disco is coming out of the Hackinator. I will very proudly tell everybody the winning team
David,
across the all. Yeah, yep,
really quick, before we move on,
yeah.
in both cases, did you do any sort of like overview or training? Like, hey, here are what the tools are. This is how you use them.
We did. So we gave people some guidelines on these are the tools. Here's some courses to take. We started running. We did this a little bit kind of office hours for people to get help. So we did give people some guidance of how to get comfortable using some of the tools.
Sort of in prep
Um,
leading up to.
we did. I think what's interesting is the adoption and participation in using the tools and coming to office hours and things like that were dramatically greater after we did this than before. I think you have
Okay.
some skepticism going, natural skepticism. Is this
Mhm.
really going to help me? Or is this just our leadership team telling me I've got one more thing I have to figure out? And so we had a strong conviction that it would benefit the company, our customers, and individuals. The hackathon was a bit of a pivot point to show them how it could benefit them and to really drive a little bit more adoption. So
Got
very
it.
uneven going in, much greater adoption on the other side.
All right. What about you, Ralphie? Was there some training and stuff?
Yes, same, similar, but we have again a labs team, so we kind of have that advantage where their goal is to make us a productive AI company. So they are constantly working with teams to build AI tooling, but they did the same thing. They did office hours ahead of our hackathon, and they trained folks. If you wanted one-on-ones, you could do that. And again, they were available during the actual hackathon to answer questions, to unblock folks, and that sort of thing.
Okay. All right. I just want to be sure. Anyway, back to you, David. I know you were about to do the
Nope.
DIY steps.
No, I'll be quick here. It's such a good point because I do think we got to make it real. We can't ask people to go do something new without setting them up for success with it. One of the things that happened, and what I laugh about this is I didn't even know this was happening until a couple weeks into it already happening. Is coming out of the Hackinator event we ran. The winning team was led by a CS person, but they had one part of their solution that they just couldn't quite solve. So even though they had a working prototype, they really weren't sure if we could deploy it for customers. So the CS team decided they were going to run their own hackathon. And so they just kind of organized it themselves. One of the leaders on the team said, let's go. And they went for it. And you can see here, they created teams of 2 to 4 people. There were specific challenges that they gave them. One was very specific, that one blocker that the winning team had, and their team was Operation Moneybags. They were determined they were going to drive more revenue for the company. This was kind of the team organization was, let's make sure you're working with somebody from a different team. We created judging criteria, we created a timeline, and off they went. And but again, I didn't even know this was happening till the team was almost done. They just did it themselves. And I love that about it. People were so inspired. And so now it's just part of how people solve problems when they see them. It wasn't the most senior leader on the CS team. It was someone who just caught the vision. And I think we had a couple dozen people participate in this one. Really, really cool. They just kept it very simple. And we wound up now, it allowed them to deploy the winning team's prototype. I think we've got half a dozen clients that are actually using it and have paid us for it.
Wow,
I'll
that's awesome.
piggyback on that, David.
And they pay you for it, David?
Yeah, it's now a new add-on to some of our service. Yeah, for this additional insights, it's monetized. It's really cool.
All right. And Nooper, you have a question? You can come off mute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, David. This is amazing. Question for you. You said the winning team on the initial one was CS led or the CS team. As you're looking at this AI for life, what are some of the cross collaboration you're seeing, and what are some of the surprises that you observed?
So I think what's been really, really interesting is knowledge of we have parts of the team that are much closer to client business issues and business needs, and parts of the team that are most closely, much more tied to the nuances of how our data and our product connects to that, just how the team works.
Yeah.
So by forcing a little cross-team collaboration, we eliminated the gaps in that knowledge and just kind of forced those together. And where something normally we'd have to go back and come up with some change, ask for a change in the product or redo an entire service, in the moment, people could say, wow, if we apply AI here, look at how fast we can come up with an answer for this client. And because we could do it really quickly, we could try it with a client, get their feedback, iterate, and now we could look at something we can deploy. And it was all in the hands of people that were in CS without having to disrupt product roadmap, ask for more resources. It was really powerful when we opened it up that way. But here's the thing: the people that are doing the work, they understand the problems. I'm not doing the work every day, so letting them understand this is the problem and giving them tools to solve it was the big unlock. We just had to force a little cross-team partnership to give people a different perspective than they would normally have in their day-to-day when they're hustling to solve problems the same way they know how.
Awesome. Thank you.
And in terms of, somebody was asking again about free versus paid versions of the accounts, and let's talk a little bit about the difference when you have a, like, the executive team on board with this, saying, yes, we're going to do this. Yes, we're going to have paid tools. We're going to figure out what those tools ought to be. They're behind it, versus maybe you have an executive team that still has a little bit of fear around AI, and they're like, oh, I don't know if we should really do that. And you just want to, like, get it started, show what the impact it is. How, can you do it with free tools? Do you even recommend that? Is it like, should you only, like, build, sort of fun games or something if you're going to do free tools, because you don't want to use your company data that might be compromised if you're doing the free tools? Like, any thoughts on that?
I think the company data part is the key there, Jan. You can absolutely use free tools, but you do not put company data into free tools. If you're trying to set up a use case around, hey, we should be using AI, and here's why, 100% build a prototype within, different tools, or show how these, different things how AI could be used in these different use cases by using dummy data. So you can 100% use free, versions. But if you're using company data, you want to make sure you have that paid version. That was actually one of the things that helped kickstart our labs team, is because we had folks in the company who were saying, why are we buying another tool when we can just use AI to build this ourselves? And they would build it, and they would show our executive team, hey, this is what I built, this is how long it took me, and this is what it cost me to build this. And that's what kind of helped kickstart, okay, let's start looking at different tools that we can make available to the team. We started doing surveys to ask everyone, hey, what are you using? What are you finding to be useful? And that's how we curated the kind of toolbox of tools that we use for AI within our company.
Great. Just wanted to be sure that we did cover that, because, that's kind of key. Matt, do you want to come off mute, or do you want me to just read this?
No, I didn't want to just jump in out of
Yeah.
nowhere, but thank you for that, Jen. Yeah, I'm curious because I've seen in certain organizations where there's a lot of empowerment for AI, either, and we called this out earlier, right? With engineering, with your coding teams, but then also even with sales teams, really great to come up with presentations and, power the immediate inflow of cash, because that's your organization that's bringing it in. But now we're talking about CS. And so I wonder if we've ever seen something like, this call forum for innovation, using that as a platform to say, well, you know what, it's being adopted there, we can also get a monetary benefit out of it here, and here's why. So if not the creation being the reason, but saying, hey, we're going to host this event, and out of this event will also come something that we can drive revenue, using that as a leverage to say, hey, this, our team should get licensing, kind of like you get buy-in for CS.
Yeah,
Well,
oh,
yeah, go ahead,
do
David.
you want to take that, Jan, or
No, no, no. Yeah, go ahead.
What I was gonna say is when we've thought about, it's a really great question. And two things that I would say. Number one, anything that we do that we apply AI to from a CS lens, we put it into one of three buckets. It's either directly going to impact revenue, it's going to indirectly impact revenue, or it's going to drive efficiency. And by forcing ourselves into that framing, it's allowed us to stand up and say anything we do has some measurable benefit back to things that matter. Sitting with the executive team, it's one of those three things. And if not, then it may be a fun thing to do, but it's not something we're going to use as an example of how we're either need access to more AI based tools or as a reason why we have the mandate, and engineers have the expectation they're leveraging AI to drive efficiency and to develop faster. We should have that same expectation of ourselves. We just have to cast it back to our colleagues and to the rest of the business in one of those three areas, and you're off and running. And we used AI office hours as a way to showcase that, because we didn't just do it, come get help. We did it as show and tell. Come show something cool you've done. Right. And so we did that, and it gave people a chance to, besides, it helped that we won, a CS person won the hackathon, but CS people just started showing up at AI office hours. Nobody questions if AI is important in CS. It's not even a question because we attached it to those three things and we got loud and proud about what we were doing.
Another tactic that I
Yeah.
used was to start solving problems for other teams. One of the first things that I built internally was actually a prototype for a customer dashboard that our product team was working on, because I understood all the pain points from my team's perspective, understood all the pain points from the customer's perspective, and even you can write requirements all day long for the product team, but it's nothing like a CS person, who I believe that's the smartest team in the company because we're touching everything. It's nothing like a CS person saying, this is exactly what we need. So I used v0.dev, and I literally built out the dashboard using prompts to show
What was
them,
it
hey,
called?
v0.dev. It's actually a link to it in the resources
All right,
slide.
I'm going to go ahead to the resources. So where is it in here?
This the third bullet.
The
So
third.
I use that tool to use prompting to build out the dashboard that I had envisioned to give to our design team and to our product team. And they literally took that, and now they're starting to rebuild it, of course, because they weren't going to just use that as is, but building it based on the vision that we had and based on what our customers have specifically been asking us for. So even if you're, trying to solve problems internally within the CS team, or things that could bring in revenue, also helping to solve problems for other teams that also accelerates the work that you're doing, is another angle that you can take as well.
So I was going through and showing people what the resources were and that sort of thing. Usually we would do breakout, and we had some questions to ask people in breakouts, but I think what I want to do is just keep everybody here today and call on a couple of people that mentioned that they have done hackathons. So if I'm embarrassing you and you're like, why would you call on me, Jan? How could you do that? you showed up here at Success Hour. This is interactive. So anyway, you can already tell. So Ian, you mentioned in the hackathon, in the chat, that you had participated in a hackathon. And then there was one other person, it starts with a J. Is it Jim? You also mentioned. So I'm going to call on each of you. We'll see which one wants to come off mute first. I want to hear more from some other people. What was it? How was it organized? What was it like? You know, what was it like as a participant? So now that I'm giving you some idea to think about it a little bit, Ian, do you want to start up and maybe share some of your experience on that?
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead. Exactly what David and Ralphie talked about here is what my company organized. So I wasn't the organizer, I was a participant. We did the same thing. We submitted ideas for what people wanted to build or scope or define during the hackathon. It wasn't specifically an AI hackathon, but we got dozens and dozens of ideas. Those got voted up, and then we had the presentation. I don't want to repeat everything they just said, but we did exactly that, and
Wow.
it took a lot of time. It was a very big interruption to my work week, and I didn't know that's what I was getting into. Um, 3 days of my week gone. I thought I could do it part time between meetings. No, it took real work. I was the program slash project manager for our group, and our solution that we defined, we couldn't build in this time. We were not capable of building solutions at this time. It was only defining them. But what we ended up scoping and defining was basically an internal GPT to query our data lake. So you could ask it any question about any customer that we might normally submit via a Google form to our analytics team, and then wait 2 to 3 weeks to get a dashboard back. We did not get selected for implementation, but what happened is 10 months later, our analytics and tech teams released that solution. It's live now.
Nice.
So it did lead to a real business benefit. So I can go in now and query, like, what was my most profitable customer last quarter? Or what was my customer with the most concerning decrease in usage in 2024? And it will come back with stuff like that normally I would have to ask the analytics team to do a full analysis. I still need to ask them to do an analysis, but I can do that initial sense check now. So where am I going with that long story is it's a real commitment. If you're going to participate, you really have to participate. I don't like those 24-hour hackathon ideas or weekend hackathon ideas. I live in Europe, so we only work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's it. So that's why it was such a big interruption to my work week.
Yeah, awesome. And Jim, you were saying that you also were part of that, part of a hackathon. Can you come off mute? Did Jim leave? Jim Slavic, I see you there. I think you're on mute.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had a chance this summer in Portland to participate in hackathon with their startup week. And usually with hackathons, I don't join them because they're usually pretty code heavy, but I'm like, oh, everybody's new with AI. So I went for it. And it was a hackathon where a group of people would present their ideas and kind of join the teams, which is a little different than some of the ones that have been described here this morning, but it worked out really well where we had a good mix of people with different types of experience. And we ended up putting together a good presentation and had a working solution. And we ended up winning it. And it's worked out really great for me as a person because it kind of transformed my personal image of myself and got to meet and be known by a lot of people in town. So when I go out to meet up or something, there's faces I recognize. And so sort of like my cheers is what I tell everybody. It's, now everybody knows my name kind of thing. So.
Love it. Now, so this was something, so it wasn't at a company, it was just like a general one. So what kinds of ideas came out of it? What kinds of things were you actually building?
Well, ours was centered around an AI framework that would help people to be able to detect bias in either text they produced and insert it into the tool, or a URL that would take them to a website and it would do the analysis of the website. But we also
general purpose to it that everyone sort of bought into then.
ours was, but there were proposals that were related to physical therapy using AI and photo tools to that app would film you and then grade you on your presentation for your poses or exercises. So if you're doing a plank, for example,
every team had sort of different themes of what they were working on.
Yeah.
And so then you could just join the team. They're like, okay, I feel like working on this.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Love that. Thank you. All right. So is there anybody else here who hasn't put in the chat to make themselves a target to me? That, you know, like, do you have questions about this? Do you feel like, okay, maybe I can go and do this, but I have still this question? Or is there somebody else who's like, I've participated in a hackathon too and wants to kind of share their experience? Either one. Calling on the community here. You know how I am about community. Step up. No questions.
Jan, I can chime in. It's been a while since I was part of a hackathon, but I have to say that as somebody who is not super technical, I just really love the idea of leveling the playing field between myself and the engineering folks. Because I might have all the great ideas, I might know how to figure out the process, but I don't have the technical background. So for me, I see this as like a huge win for people who, like myself, who were in advertising marketing, have that kind of creative / business background and moved into IT. And it's kind of like, okay, now I can finally like implement all these ideas I have in my head. So I see this as a huge benefit for all of us. So thank you to, I'm going to call you Karp and Ralphie for the presentations. These are really, really very exciting. So thank you.
Cool. All right. Ralphie, David, why don't we, I've never called you Karp. I've always called you David.
It's fine. David works. That works too. But man, a lot of people call me Karp. So whichever. Good news is I respond to both, Jan.
Okay, good. Well, anyway, is there anything, you know, take us back home here, wrap it up here. Any, from what you've heard, from what we were sharing today, any other things you want to sort of check in on here, or that, like, to wrap it up? What next, you know, what's the next last thing people should hear as we go out today?
Just do it. Just do it. I think a lot of people look at some of the AI tools and it gets intimidating. I have a technical background, 2 technical degrees, and I've looked at some and I'm like, wait, no, this is a lot. But just do it. Like, go in and just, even if it's a basic problem, like, I want to create a calendar to help figure out my kids' schedules each week. Try to find something that's important to you and just go try. You know, think beyond ChatGPT, think beyond Gemini, because I think a lot of people spend a lot of their time just using those tools. There are a ton of other tools that are amazing at helping you create better presentations, at helping you, like, you know, create dashboards and mock-ups and prototypes and those different things. You won't know what you're capable of unless you go out and actually just do it.
All right. And some of those links to those tools you put in the resources, right? So I'm just
Yes,
going
I did.
I'm going to put all those links one last time in the chat in case you didn't get the slides or whatever else. David, any other thoughts?
I love what Ralphie just said. I think it starts with each one of us. And it can feel very intimidating because there's a lot of people. You will always find people that know so much about it, and it's easy to compare ourselves to them. But again, what I love about AI is there's something there for each one of us, and there's so many problems we can use it to solve. So if you're not sure where to start with yourself, grab a friend, solve a problem. And I think there's a lot of fun. One of the things I love about it is it can be a lot of fun too once you start to see it. So challenge yourself, give yourself that challenge if it doesn't already exist to just get started, as Ralphie said.
And we do in our Slack channel, we have an AI and CS channel in our Slack community. So, we're all in there. And if you say, wait, has anybody used this tool before? Or I'm looking for a tool that, or, hey, look what I did, or I have this challenge, like go there, let's share, keep this going, because we all, this is why I keep building the community, if you say boo, because we can all help each other. And that's what we're all here to do. It's all volunteer led over in CxXchange. So that means you got to show up, and let's show up for each other. All right, cool. Sorry, no breakout today, but I just felt like the conversation we had going here, I just wanted to make it accessible to everybody. So, I'll see you in Slack. And see you, we have Tuesday events every Tuesday, and I'll see you next month. We're going to have someone here who's going to be helping us show, he's going to show us how he built an actual specific tool using AI. And it's, the type of analysis that you use in CS all the time. So we'll just be sure to subscribe to our events calendar, and we'll come back to all of that. And thank you everyone for showing up today, and excited to see you all. Thank you, David.
Thank
and
you.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Success Hour, formerly known as CS Office Hours. We regularly put out new content, so to be the first to know, like this episode, tap that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, and we look forward to seeing you soon.